Hey everyone, I am making a new video about Jill's hair. I don't think I've done one of those yet, so what I'm going to do is kind of just do a quick process. I'll edit a video together of how her hair is washed and styled. So here's a Jill I've had for a while. I haven't messed with her yet. She's actually in okay condition. Her hair is still kind of golden shiny. Sometimes you get them and they are just dingy and almost looks white, but it's just from being dirty. She has, looks like maybe someone has curled it at some point. Those could be original curls, but I've yet to actually get a brand new Jill to see exactly what it would look like brand new out of the box. So I just go from the picture on the box and all the other images of Jill, and she has curlier hair. So that's the way I always do it, but this one actually is in decent shape and it's not super frizzy, so hopefully it shouldn't take me long to do it. What I think this is interesting too is that she has like a wave through her hair. But this looks kind of messy. But I did want to show this, so I took out her original bands, hair bands. They're quite faded, so I won't be using these again. But I wanted to show, this is how you can tell Jill has never been messed with, because this is her original rubber band. So obviously it's 35 years old, so it has crumbled and gotten nasty, so it's actually like embedded in her hair. So I'm gonna have to get tweezers and try to get all the bits and pieces out, but it's pretty nasty. But if you get a Jill and she doesn't have that, someone could have washed her hair at some point, styled it. They may have gone inside her head. But there's another way to check for that. I'll show you in a moment. But right now I'm going to cut this so I can get all that out. But here's the back. Again, it's not horrible, but a lot of the curls are flat, so I'm going to completely redo it. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I got the original rubber band out. Ew, this is what it looks like. Super nasty. And you're going to end up with hair regardless, because it's all like intertwined into the rubber band where it was rolled down. So you're going to lose hair, but you lose hair anyway when you wash any of these dolls. It just happens. So as long as it's not big huge chunks, then it's nothing to be worried about. So I got her hair down, and you'll see it kind of goes in different, this is the outside like we saw, so it goes in different sections, so layers. So this is the outer layer, and you pull that back and you can see it's just the front, but then there's a whole nother layer back here. Pull that forward. Now you're actually starting to get a big space. They didn't root all the way through. And then here you have another layer. So you've got 3 layers of hair that go back, and it all just, you can see how it gets all matted in the end. So this is where it gets complicated when you're trying to comb it all out. And then so we can dig in here underneath this whole back section. This is her, I call the scalp. So this is what you actually have to take off to work on the side of her head. So it has its own piece of hair here. I can tell it's never been opened because it's completely sealed. They use some kind of glue. You can kind of see it's old there, and that keeps it sealed. So the reason I haven't fixed this head, I wash the hair first, because once you break the seal, there really isn't like a surefire way to get it sealed back. And since she has so many parts in her head, I don't like to take a chance of getting water in there. I have washed them with the scalp part off, but it's just way more difficult. So it's easier just to go ahead and wash the hair before you even work on the head, and then before you take this off. Now, I have many times, even after washing and taking this off, there's still a little bit of water inside the scalp, just because it's going to get in through different holes. And I don't know if I'll be able to see them, but there they are. There's holes back here for screws that you can get into, but it's weird, you don't have to take those screws out. I don't even know why they put those there, because you can't, even if you take the screws out, you still have to peel the scalp off. So I just peel the scalp off first, and then you can take out the skull part. But that's pretty much it as far as the layers of her hair go. Her scalp actually looks pretty clean. I'll still wash it some. And like I said, the hair looks pretty clean as well. It's just going to be this, trying to untangle all of that. And it's synthetic hair, so it's not very easy to comb through. Always try to use a metal comb to get through it. And I actually I'll show you some of the combs I use, but same ones I use for cricket. But I use a wider metal comb, and then I also have a very fine tooth, almost like one of those like dog grooming combs, that's going to get out all the little tiny tangles and stuff. But it definitely takes many hours. Her hair takes longer than any kind of doll that I've ever done hair on. But when you're done with it, it looks brand new. So it'll be worth it. This part, obviously, when I wash it, I'm going to comb all these, try to keep them separate. That way the hairline stays where it's at. I think that's pretty much everything. I have another scalp that I'll show you. The other thing is before I wash the hair, like she's setting up, remember I said somehow water still will get in the back here, just as a precaution that I don't ever get any water. Because if it goes down into her, that's really bad, right? Probably a game changer where she won't work. So what I do is, when I wash their hair, I'll have this over the sink, and I'll wash it like this. I sometimes will put plastic over so nothing gets inside her eyes, but I wash it this way, and I never ever turn her from this position. So when I comb her hair, I'll turn her a little bit this way, a little bit that way. But that way, if any water does get in, which like I said, it usually always does, it will catch in the back part of the head, and not actually get into any of the gears. So once I finish washing her hair, I never ever move her until it's time to take the scalp off, and then I'll reach under here, peel the scalp off. Like I said, it's usually a little pool of water, and I'll wipe that off and just make sure everything's clean before I set her up, and that's when I would start working on her head at that point. But I always, just like I said, keep them down like this. That way you never have to worry about it. Obviously you have to worry about it here. So, but I use saran wrap. That way it covers up the eyes. And I'll show you more of that in the next part. All right, so I have Jill, now she is over the sink. As you see, I have put saran wrap, plastic wrap over her face just to make sure no water is going to get into her eyes. I just used Scotch tape and tape the seal around there. This usually doesn't leave residue, but if it does, you can, there's different things. I use Goo Gone and it'll take off the residue that's left over from the tape, but I'd rather have that than water easily getting into those eyes and ruining all those motors or rusting them. So definitely worth the precaution. I don't put anything further down because, again, she never is going to leave this position other than her head turning a few times. All right, so now I'm going to just use cool water, nothing too hot, and I'm going to just run water over it to get it all wet first. And then I use Dawn dish soap. This cuts the grease and it cuts the dirt. So it's kind of the first process. So I will wet her hair, I will cover it in the Dawn, I'll squish it in, get it all nice and sudsy and foamy, and then just let it sit for a minute or so and then rinse it all out. And that'll give me kind of a fresh start to begin the next process, which is, sometimes I'll do the Pantene Tresemme, the moisture shampoo, and then I use the conditioner. The conditioner is the part where I detangle everything so it stays in the longest. And I used to use fabric softener, but I stopped just because I didn't really see that much of a difference, and also it just kind of gave it a, I don't know, kind of a gritty feel, so I stopped using that. All right, so I'm gonna do the water and the soap, and I'll be back. All right, her hair is now soaking with Dawn. Like I said, I just leave it for a few minutes, but see where I'm glad I put this down. You see there's some suds. You just never know. But don't be alarmed when you first put in this, it looks blue, so her hair starts turning blue, but you just have to, you know, squish it and wash it in. And also notice it looks like white and dull. That will go away once all the soap is out of there. But I just let it sit for a second. I just kind of give it a nice massage I try not to go too crazy because that's just going to make it more tangled. So I just kind of work it in with what I see, and then when I rinse it, I'll just gently rinse it all out the same way. Okay, it goes right back to golden yellow. Alright, we keep doing this, and we go slip out of the seat. And I do have down here in the drain, because like I said, the hair does come out, I do have a little catcher there, so it's not going to catch any of the hairs, and I can go down the drain. You can get those pretty cheap off Amazon. Alright, I'm back. All the chops in this video. Now, I went ahead because her hair was already really clean. I skipped the shampoo part and just went right to conditioner after the Dawn shampoo because after I washed it out, it looked good. And the more you scrunch it and, you know, put stuff in it, it's just going to get more tangled. So now I have my Moisture Rich conditioner in there, and this conditioner I let it set for a little while, but I used to let it set for 2 hours and then I would start combing it, but it takes 2 or 3 or 4 hours sometimes to comb through their hair. So I realized that I can pretty much start after like 5 or 10 minutes of letting it set. So I'll do the bangs first, move them all forward, which I'll try to show in a video, and then I start with the main part. And then I'll take it, remember I showed you the different waves? I'll start that way. So I'll do the first one and I'll push it forward. Doesn't matter if it goes over face because it's covered, and then I'll just keep doing it that way. Nora said I use different combs, so I use this one. This is just kind of for wider, you know, if I want to go through quickly. But if I really want to get in and really like spend a lot of time, make the hair really, really detangled, I use this little guy, and it won't even focus on it. It's so microscopic. But this will really, really get everything out. So I usually would definitely use this for the bangs, and then we'll see what we get down there. I do fear, even though all of this doesn't seem tangled, this down here was really bad when I was washing it. So we're gonna see where we get with that, but it's a long process. So I won't do as many videos as I'm washing the hair, because you end up getting conditioner, because it's in there. You get conditioner all over your hands, so your hands get real slimy, and also there will be clumps of hair, and it's just a mess. But I will try at some point. I usually take breaks, I'll wash my hands off, and I'll record and show you progress as I go through. All right, everyone, I am back, and for you it was just seconds. For me, this is about an hour and 45 minutes into it with working. So this is usually where I have to take a break, because with all the conditioner, my hands start getting wrinkly, and that's not good for anyone. But just wanted to update. So her hair actually was way more problematic than I thought. I was thinking it looked pretty decent, but it's extremely tangled in the back. The bangs were great, but this whole area, so just when on almost 2 hours, I have only done the bangs and the first level. So there's 2 more levels on the whole back of the head. This is all done too. So you see I comb it and I fold it over. I do one side and then put the middle, and then I fold it and do the other side. But yeah, she is very, 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 very tangled. And just to show you, it varies, but don't freak out. Remember I said doll hair does come out. That's what the tangles actually are. Like when you're trying to comb it, it's little mini hairs, individual hairs that have come out and pulled forward and started making knots and pulled other hairs, from just play. So here is all the hair so far that has combed out. These are all the loose hairs that were in between all that. It looks like a lot, but I promise you, you're probably freaking out like, oh my God, that's so much hair. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't make any difference. There's no plugs missing. I didn't pull any big chunks out. It's just all the loose hair from 35 years. That's how you get it all shiny and curled and fixed. So you gotta think about it, no one's ever done this. Like, she had her original band in, so no one has ever washed or combed her hair since the day she was purchased. Whew. All right, so I'm gonna take a little break, and then I'm gonna come back and then I'll start the second row, and I'll go all the way around, and then that just leaves me with the back part. So we'll see how far I get tonight. But yes, like I said, I wasn't exaggerating. These take hours and hours. I think I've spent 8 hours before on one. So now, obviously, because it's been sitting for so long, it starts to dry out. So I'll get a little mister with water, and I'll just spray it just to wet it. And if I need to add more conditioner, I'll do that as well. All right, we'll see you for the next round. All right, well, now it has been about 4 hours, 4.5, and she's done. So I just rinsed all the conditioner out of her hair. So you see it's nice and shiny and still got a lot of the natural wave to it, and some curls at the end. So now what I'm gonna do while it's still wet is I'm going to brush it out into like a big radius and let it dry for a little bit. And I will come back when I have that all done. All right, I'm back again for the 100th time. But as you see, I have now combed out her hair in a radius there to kind of let it dry a little bit. The main reason to do this is to separate the bangs back down. I know they look flat now, but they can be re-rolled. But you want to make sure you separate them, because if you let it dry flipped back, then they're going to be poofed out, and you don't want that. So you want them flat, so comb those forward. It's pretty easy because of the hairline. You can split it back, and then I do comb this down a little bit. So like I'll pull it, but I don't go far, because you probably will have a few tangles left over from when you were rinsing it, but at this point there's nothing in it. So if you start trying to detangle now, you're gonna cause super frizz. It's really hard to get rid of. So leave it alone, and just kind of separate it out and just kind of let it start air drying now. And then I'm gonna leave her. Remember, I've never tilted her up. She's been in this whole position the whole time, and that's because she probably has some water in the back of her scalp. So I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit, and then I'm going to take the back off, and I'll show you that. We'll wrap up. All right, so her hair has dried fairly well now. See how shiny it is now? So I have her propped up because now I'm going to remove this part. Now, sometimes you can get in here fairly easy, and sometimes you have to literally cut it. So this is sealed so well. So this time it was sealed really well, but I used a little handy dandy box cutter and just made a little cut there where I could at least get in there. So now, see this like that, I can peel it open. And you just want to be careful, because you could, rip the scalp. So you just kind of have to gently move your way around here, all the way around, and then that cup will just drop off. And if there is any excess water, which there usually is, that is where it is. So unfortunately, I can't do this with one hand. It takes both, because sometimes you have to put some muscle behind trying to get that glue off. But I'll be right back. All right, so it's not completely off yet, but I just want to show you the inside. So it looks like it actually came out dry, which is good. That means I had a good seal on it. You can still feel a little dampness though. So what I'm gonna do is finish taking this off, and then I can take this off as well. This is the skull plate, and then behind here is the motor. But just in case there could be water in here, I'm going to take this off, and I'm still going to leave her sideways like this. Like, I still have not propped her up, because I don't want to take any chances of any water ever getting inside where all the electronic parts are. But I did leave a little bit of glue. Here we go. All right, so now I can pull that off, and here is her scalp. So, and it's not breaking it. You see, this is literally a separate part, so you can put this back on after the fact. There's those little holes I was talking about. They go to screws that are on underneath here, but it doesn't make sense, because even if you were to take the screws off, what is it doing? Like, this doesn't, this doesn't come off. So because that's part of it, like this is glued onto there. So I think their intentions were that you could unscrew those screws and pop this whole plate off, and then this would still stay connected. But the glue literally seals the vinyl, the rubber. So that's not the case. This always has to come off. All right, I'm going to get a screwdriver and pop the skull piece off, and we'll see what we get. And finally, after many hours of hair washing, she is officially done as far as her hair being washed. It definitely hasn't been curled yet, and that usually takes a day or so. But I did take this off, so there's the 2 screws. And there was a little treat waiting inside here for me. That is a broken piece, and I know exactly where that goes. That's common. There's a piece way down in the neck that breaks off of. It's not super important, you know, it'd be great if it was there, but it does happen from time to time. But basically, this is where the skull was, and I took those 2 screws out and pulled it off. Now, when I did pull it out, sometimes there could be water right in here, in this little bowl, and there was none. So this was a completely successful wash where no water got inside at all. But imagine if I had brought her up, because I set her up and there was water in there, it would have literally dumped right down into the mechanisms and the motors and parts into her body where her circuit boards are, and that could have been catastrophic. So if you're going to wash your Jill's hair, you just have to be very careful, and you definitely can never set her up while you're doing it. Like, you need to be 100% sure that no water gets inside this area. But this is inside her head, so I'll do another video at some point showing you how to fix parts inside there. But everything is intact, and this is what her hair looks like down. It's really long, because you know, normally it's up like that, but it's down, it's soft. There she is. I took her plastic off, so she's good to go. You see her bangs will need to be restyled, but overall her hair came out really great. It's real nice, real shiny, golden. And once it's curled and once I get her face moving, she'll be completely finished. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and you just saw a little bit into how much time it takes to restore these dolls. It's definitely not something that you can just, you know, do on a whim. You definitely have to put in a lot of time for it. But it's worth it in the end, because the hair and everything just looks so much better once you get the face working, and you know, it's all good to go. So the next step I will do is, now that I have her open, I will work on this part and I will get her face moving before I reset her hair. Once I get her face going, because I can work on her with her hair down like this, once I get her face going, then I can put her skull and her scalp back on and redo her hair. Now, with the scalp, this is just something I do. Everyone has a different preference. I actually don't reattach the scalp. So I put the skull back on, and then the part that I peeled off here where the glue was, I actually leave that unglued. The reason is because I might need to get back into this head at some point. A band might go out or something might stop working. So if I was to re-glue it, then I'm going to have to tear it all back off again, and that's just going to keep messing this up. So I found that you don't really need to do that. Like, I can literally put the scalp back on there, and when I comb her hair up into a ponytail, it holds it snugly into place. So you can't even tell that it's not sealed around there. Now, if I ever did want to wash her hair again, and now that I've already unsealed this, it is a little tricky, but it's pretty much the same method. You know, you gotta make sure, like, I would probably put some saran wrap over this and tape this down, and then just do everything I can to not get water under there. But if she's laying down, the water is gonna not go in there anyway. So it's just a lot harder that way. So I always try to do it ahead of time. But yeah, so that's it for this video. And thank you for watching. And if you have any questions about Jill restoration or cleaning or any of the products I used or any of the methods I used, just put in the comments below. And don't forget to go ahead and like the video. And if you want to see more Jill stuff or more Cricut and Corky in the future, hit that subscribe button. And you can always hit the little bell button and you'll get notified whenever I put up new videos. right, thanks for watching. Talk to you later.
Ready? Great. You know, this is our special song. So if you know the words, sing along. You and me, that's all that we need to make a good time better. My heart shines just like a rainbow whenever we're together. Come along, we'll sing our song each and every day. With a new best friend like you, I'm not afraid to say, together, we can make it happen. We can make it happen. Forever, side by side with you. Yeah. Whoa. Learning to share, we're learning, taking time to care, till our dream becomes a dream come true. Together, we can make it happen. We can make it happen. Life is like a merry-go-round and a rock and roller coaster. Every day's a fantasy dream, like a teen magazine poster. Come along, we'll sing our song each and every day. With a new best friend like you, I'm not afraid to say, together, we can make it happen. Forever, side by side with you. Yeah. Whoa. Learning to share,
We're sharing,
taking time to care,
we're caring.
till our dream becomes a dream come true.
Give me that beat, Joe.
Together, we can make it happen. We can make it. We can